Welcome to the Don't Call Me Midlife podcast. Okay, we are so excited to introduce you to our next guest, Ali Damron. She's in Denver. She is amazing. She's a Taylor Swiftie fan. She's a wife. She's a mom to two sweet boys.
And I'm surprised we could get her on this podcast, Nicole. Listen to this. She is so busy. She is a hormone expert, an acupuncturist, a personal trainer. She has a virtual practice where she helps all her clients balance their hormones. We like that. Have better mood, sleep periods, and energy levels. She has digital courses, a podcast called The Ali Damron Show, and a YouTube channel. I mean, how did she find time to come? We cannot wait to talk to her about perimenopause, menopause, all things hormonal.
I mean,
we
have so much to learn. Lots of questions. Okay. All right, let's get started.
Let's get to it. Okay.
Hi. Hello. Hi. How are you guys?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. We are so excited about our guest today and what we're going to talk about. We know this is a hot topic. So get ready. Go grab your coffee. Go grab whatever you are drinking. Maybe you want a glass of wine and listen to this. We've got some good stuff today. So we're just going to start out. Nicole. Hi.
Yes. Hi, Alix. Speaking of going and grabbing your stuff, let's find out what's in your cup.
My cup, actually, I went to my favorite coffee shop here, and I have a London Fog, which I think is like tea and coffee. Have you had those?
Yes, I love them.
Okay, I love it. It's like a little treat for me. So I do have a London Fog today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what's in your cup?
I do not have a London Fog, but I do have just a tea. I make London Fogs a lot of time at home. Typically it's what? Earl Grey, and do you use milk?
Then it's just steamed milk. I did oat milk today.
Okay. All right.
Oh, so awesome. Make that at home.
Yeah. It's so easy. But it's always a treat to have somebody else make your drink, right?
It is when I'm out and about.
Yes.
And we're so close to the holidays that we need lots of extra caffeine, right?
Yes, like every hour on the hour.
All right, we've got Ali here. So Ali, tell us what is in your cup.
I have decaf coffee today with some cream.
Oh,
yep. It's about 11:30 here, so I feel like I needed to not do more coffee this morning, but still it's gray and dark in Denver, and I just felt like drinking coffee literally all day. So
yeah. That's why I've got like a nice warm cup of cozy tea. If I have too much coffee, I am just like a lunatic. Like I just can't. Yeah.
Off my rocker if I have too much.
Yeah, me too. Yes. But that's my normal day.
Amazing. Okay, Ali. So we like to start the show asking just maybe some like fun questions to get to know you a little bit better, and then we'll dive deep into all things women related with perimenopause, menopause, and all that good stuff. But let's start easy. Tell us, like, what's your favorite music?
Well, right now I love Christmas music. I was thinking about that the other day, and when it's on the radio this time of the year, I just like feel the need to listen to it incessantly. So that's what we're doing now. But I have to say, probably this year, I think my Spotify would think Taylor Swift was probably my top.
Did you go to the concert, Ali?
I did not go to the concert. I'm supposed to go to the New Orleans one in like a year, like 10 months.
Wait, do you have tickets?
Oh, fun.
Wait, I want to go. I'm really hoping that my husband, I hope he's listening to this, is getting me tickets to Taylor Swift for Christmas because I'm slightly obsessed.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give me his text message and I'll just anonymously, he's going to be like, what's this 312 number?
What is this number? So Ali, with Christmas music, do you listen to it with your kids not in the car too? Are you like all around Christmas music? Okay. Okay. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
That's so cute. Is it like on the radio? Like one of those stations, or is it like Sirius XM?
Nope, just the radio station.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a radio station that plays Christmas music. Really?
Yeah.
It's just like purely dedicated.
It's like mid-November. Wow. I feel like I've done it since I was a child.
Yeah.
It's just like ingrained in my brain, like November 16th or something. It like just comes on every year.
Oh my, it's like run by Mr. and Mrs. Claus. Like John Mackey has me like asking for, he's like, can you put on Spotify like classical Christmas music? I'm like, wow, that's very specific here. We're classical Christmas music over here.
Yeah.
I love it all.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Taylor Swift, check. Okay, you are perfect for our modern mom date. And Christmas music, check, check. You've checked 2 of my boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ali. So midlife. Here's another fun question for you. Midlife. How do you view the term midlife? What does it mean to you? Is it positive? Do you hate the terminology? What's your view?
I actually think of it as a positive thing. I think due to my career, I don't get too scared about the aging process or hormone stuff because I feel like we'll talk about it, but there's things you can do to feel good. And I also actually think about it as having a little bit more wisdom. Like your kids might be a little bit older, might be a little bit more seasoned. Um, career, business, those types of things, you're kind of finding your stride. I feel like you're figuring out a lot of things. And I think there's still a lot to be desired and a lot to figure out. But I figure that I've figured out quite a bit of things since I was in my 20s, when everything was just new and you had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, the quarter life crisis, right? Did you guys ever go through that?
Yeah,
What's that? When you're 25?
Yeah. And you're just like, what am I going to do with my life? Nothing's in order. You just have it's like the new midlife crisis, but it's like in your 20s.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was like destined. I was like, I want to be a wife. Like, I'm so excited to get married. Oh my gosh, thinking of that. This has nothing to do with topic. I changed my name on my work email before I even got married. Like, I was like so crazy.
Oh, that is so cute. Yeah, I wanted to get married too. I just didn't know my husband at the time.
I didn't either. And that was like real stressful because I wanted to get married and be a wife and a mom and all the things. And I was like, well, I have to like find somebody for this. So
yes. Yeah.
That'd be a good thing. That might be a good thing. So Ali is, I have personally, Ali has helped me with my hormones and she's a friend and she is just an overall, just wonderful, really good person. So we're so excited that you're here. We know lots of our listeners want to talk about perimenopause, menopause, like all the things period or not period related. So tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today. Like, I think your journey of why you got here, you're an acupuncturist, you're a hormone expert, you're a personal trainer, right? Like those are a lot of things that take a long time to do. So what made you want to study this, what you become an expert in these areas of your journey? And how old are you?
I am 38.
You look amazing. Wow. We can see her because we're looking at her. We don't look like you. We want to be like Ali. So tell us all the things, Ali.
So I think, I obviously became a personal trainer first, and I witnessed some pretty traumatic, like health things as a child with my parents and grandparents and close family members. And I just remember, I grew up in Western Nebraska. So in the 80s in Western Nebraska, like holistic health, none of this was a thing. Absolutely none of it. And so I remember thinking like, is this just like destined? Is it luck? Like, could we be doing some things to maybe like help ourselves out? Like, what is health? All of those different things. And so I, wanted to get into that for myself, but also help other people. And so I started with being a personal trainer in college, and I started actually with extreme weight loss. And so I did like weight loss camps in California. I was in corporate wellness. I did some different things, and I started to realize that a few things. Actually, I went to an acupuncturist myself just because I wanted to try it, see what it was about. And the 2 acupuncturists that I had were literally the most healthy looking people I've ever seen. And they just had such a different perspective. Like they were telling me to eat greens for breakfast and like nutrition and like things that I had like, I'm like, how do you eat greens for breakfast? Like I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just like a really different perspective that I had never been exposed to. So I was like really intrigued by it. And then simultaneously, people started coming to me with like real things that like I didn't know about, like Crohn's disease, autoimmune, hormonal imbalances, aging, heart disease, like things that I just didn't have the equipment to deal with. And so I started kind of through those 2 things, kind of wondering like, well, maybe I could be an acupuncturist or maybe I could go into holistic health. And so I ended up doing that. And when I was there, I was thinking about fertility, thinking about having kids, things like that. And once I was out of school when I had my first child, but after kind of like that experience, I realized like the lack of just support for women. Like I had my child and during pregnancy, it's all, everyone's supporting you and like nurturing you and you're doing appointments. And then like you have this baby and it's like everything's about the baby. And it's like, well, I don't know. Like you're fine. You just had this major thing, but like stay up all night, breastfeed, like just do this. And I just felt like it was like really unsupportive. And then I started treating patients in that realm as well. They felt the same way. And honestly, it started, my oldest is 11 or will be soon. And it's just kind of like, I've realized through all these areas that like there are no support for women. Like I thought it was just postpartum. Well, no, then I started talking to 40-year-old women who also felt like, I don't know what's happening. They told me to just get an ablation or get a hysterectomy, or I feel miserable and I can't sleep and I'm tired and no one's telling me anything to do. And so I've realized that it's like in women's life, I mean, our teenage daughters too. I have a lot of teenagers in my practice that there's no help for them either, other than like birth control. And so I've just kind of realized that honestly, for women throughout our entire experience, and there's research too that shows that women don't get taken seriously at first and like those types of things as well. But I've just had this like really strong desire to explain to women across from teenage to post-menopause, like what's happening, why it's happening, and most of all, inspire them that they don't have to deal with it and put up with it, that we can, to your point, in midlife feel good. And I also think that it's just, when I was postpartum and raising babies and toddlers to this phase, like women are the glue of the household. We have so much invisible load, and when we don't feel good, it's like just such a huge burden for us to carry, because we have to mother and parent and do careers and businesses and all these things. But if you don't feel good, like, gosh, that makes it a million times harder.
I love that what you said. I think all those things are huge things. And it's almost like, I feel like our parents' generation, our mother's generation, it was this like stigma put on you if you were saying you weren't okay, right? Where now it's like you are actually one of the people changing the landscape of the way that women can feel, and you're giving people hope, right? With what you do and also not settling, giving people the confidence to not settle. Like if I don't feel XYZ, one, it's okay to say it. And two, you don't have to feel that way, right? So you are like such a pioneer in doing this and being there to support all these women. So I thank you from one of those women too. And just that you were you are such a helper in that you saw a problem, right? You saw a need, and that's what you went after. So that's super admirable at such a young age in college. So you are truly gifted at what you do. What can you just explain? We've talked about this on the podcast before about perimenopause, because I have some friends who are my age, right? I'm 46. I'm not in perimenopause. What is perimenopause? That's not a thing. So can you just define that? Because, the science, it's not like a thing Nicole and Alix made up. It's a real thing. So can you talk to us about perimenopause a little bit?
Yeah. So perimenopause is actually just defined as 2 to 12 years before we go through menopause. So menopause is one point in time where it's been 1 year since your last period. And then after that, we're postmenopausal. So what you may start to notice is that in perimenopause, again, genetics play a role here, lifestyle plays a role. But there's some different things that can kind of impact this. But what you may start to notice in that time frame is your periods change. Maybe you've been a normal 30-day period that's kind of like where your body likes to land around that part. And maybe it's gotten to 26 days, 24 days. It's heavier. We're spotting. We're having more PMS symptoms. We're maybe experiencing more acne, breast tenderness, irritability. We can also kind of call it like the second puberty, where when we start having more.
I've heard that. Yes. I've experienced that. Yeah.
But right when our kids are going through their first puberty, that's even better.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. We're all in puberty together.
What puberty? I'm going to tell my kids that I'm in my second puberty, just so you know.
Yeah. So can your periods get closer together? Because I'm noticing mine are like every 21 days. And my husband's like, you're just always on your period. I'm like, well, one,
Yes.
I have no control. Yeah.
So yes, that happens a lot. And they also can lengthen out too. So there is kind of like phases in perimenopause. In the beginning phases, generally they will get a little closer together, and that's due to excess estrogen. So if we can kind of get that estrogen out through something like a DIM or cruciferous vegetable, I mean, there's a million ways to do it, but
wait,
if we
what's
can
DIM?
DIM is it's a compound that is in cruciferous vegetables that you can take in a capsule, in a much bigger dose capsule, that helps you to really metabolize estrogen better.
Okay. I do only have one ovary. I had one removed. Do you think maybe that could also play a factor in it too? Like, let's just say somebody has two ovaries and that they're experiencing something like myself. Could it be because I have one, or is it just this could also happen?
I think both. I think we'd have to dive a little bit deeper in and see like what's actually happening. But in general,
Nicole needs a one-on-one.
She's like, make an appointment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So
no, you're
DIM.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would do something like a DIM. I feel like that works really well for a lot of women to just get rid of the excess estrogen. We're also really exposed to a lot of estrogens in our environment through things like plastics and pesticides and all the other chemicals. Some of them can look like estrogen in our body. And so I think that for a myriad of reasons, we have trouble as women in general detoxing estrogen. And from there, that's going to create, I mean, it can create things like fibroid cysts, polyps, even some of that stuff too. It creates the gross things. So I always encourage my patients to work on the estrogen, support progesterone, because progesterone, we think about it as like progestation. It is kind of like quietly exiting the scene. It's kind of done doing its job. And so it's those two hormones that create this imbalance in perimenopause. That really create all the symptoms that we experience.
Interesting. Yeah.
So would you say someone in their 40s is most likely in perimenopause?
Again, it really depends. I mean, like I said, it's 2 to 12 years. So, someone might go through menopause at age 54. They may not experience any perimenopause until 52.
Okay. But perimenopause is a thing, right? We're confirming that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Menopause. Absolutely. It's just a matter of like when.
Yeah. I just asked my mom if she talked about perimenopause with her friends. I mean, she's in her 60s, late 60s. And she said no, but I'm like, I said, was that a word back when you were younger, or is it like a hot word now? And she said no, that she had heard of it, but she said she started when she was like 42, which is to me, that seems very young.
I mean, yeah, if it's like, a 10-year thing, like 42 to 52 or 54, like,
yeah, she said 10 years for her. So great.
That's crazy. So does genetics actually, Ali, play a role in that? Like if Nicole's talking to her mom, or I'm talking to my mom, if we're asking, I don't know, advice, if we're asking our moms about their sort of experience with perimenopause or menopause, could it be similar for us or no?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think genetics play a big role in it. And I don't want to like scare people with saying like, to your point, if your mom went through it for 10 years and it was absolutely miserable, like you don't have to deal with the miserable part of it. And like I said, there's a lot we can do to really like help the symptoms, help the hormones. But yeah, I do actually ask quite a few patients, like, when have you heard of like aunts, moms, sisters, like when they went through things, to kind of get a broad picture of like what we might be looking at.
Okay, this is a good topic. So ask your moms, ask your aunts about this. This is a good time, Christmas, if you're going to be with them, to ask them. I'm definitely having a little convo with my mother. Get ready, Mom. And then is menopause, is it true it's one day, or like, what is that?
So menopause is like one point in time, right? So it's just defined as like the 1 year without a period. So at the end of perimenopause, you're not just going to have like a situation, most likely, where it probably has happened before, but most likely where like your cycles are at 21 days and then you just in that last cycle and you go a year and then now you're in perimenopause or in menopause. Most of the time they're going to start lengthening out. So I have a lot of patients that are like, well, it's been 3 months since my last cycle, and then they might get one, or maybe it's 8 months and then they get one, and then maybe it's 11 months and then they get one, so they have to wait the next year. So it can start to lengthen out at the end of perimenopause. And then menopause is just defined as a point in time where it has been that 1 year. And then you're technically considered postmenopausal at that point.
Oh, wow. Now, what if you have like an IUD? Should at this age, if we're not having kids, do you recommend taking it out, or, because if we don't even know when we get our periods, I went to the OB last week and I didn't even know when my period was because I don't get one because I have an IUD. Which is fine by me.
The research is still coming out about this. Like in terms of like the birth control pill, there's a lot of research that shows that like around age 45, it changes, genetics change things. You really should come off of it because it can start to increase your risk of like breast cancer, ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, things like that. The IUD is a bit different because your body actually on an IUD can still cycle. So a birth control pill cuts off your hormones, the communication in your brain to your ovaries, and just says, we're getting these synthetic hormones. No need to do this anymore. So you don't actually cycle, which means ovulate. You get like a withdrawal bleed that's not a real cycle. But on an IUD, you actually can still ovulate. Now, not everybody does, but you can. And you don't usually get a period. So it's kind of like opposite types of birth control. The IUD is a bit safer, in my opinion. I don't know. I would probably just talk to your OB and just say like, what's kind of like the long-term game here. A lot of women's OBGYNs will say, let's just stay on this until we think you've gone through menopause. If they've had heavy periods or a lot of symptoms or things like that. Again, in my perspective, there's a lot we can do for that too. And so I think, and I think also the way I look at it is I'm wanting to improve women's quality of life. With birth control can do that, right? And other pharmaceuticals, but I also am wanting to make sure that we are not increasing our risks of things and being the safest, and also healing things from the most root cause, right? Because if we, for example, and again, no judgment or shame here, but if we get like an ablation because our periods are so heavy, we're still having our ovaries that are creating those hormonal imbalances that are still happening. And so could that create other issues in our body that we're just not seeing then?
Can you just define what an ablation is for maybe some of our ladies that don't know what that is?
Yeah, so an ablation of what we're talking about here is a uterine ablation, and basically they're just going in and taking out the tissue there so that you don't have a period. Really, some women have really light spotting or light periods, but they're just going in and really thinning that out so that you have nothing to slough off for your period.
I mean, it blows my mind that women's health is not as researched as, I don't know, the next big thing. I mean, there's so much, and it's so global, like your ovaries are like attached to or connected to other parts, and they all function as one with your nervous system. And I think you mentioned cortisol maybe before we even started recording. So it just blows my mind. There's just so much to learn. Yes.
I think that, oh my gosh, there's so much research that comes out every day. There's so many new developments of things like, in terms of hormone replacement therapy, in terms of mammogram technology, in terms of treatment, in terms of cancers, like it really is exploding right now. And I think if we can hang on here for a little bit longer, it's going to be amazing. There's so much going into this right now. We're learning so much every day. But yes, I do agree, for the last 50 something years, like it hasn't been very well researched.
Well, people like you are helping us feel more confident about advocating for ourselves or being more comfortable talking about, well, this isn't really normal that I'm a crazy person half the month, or, whatever your personal situation is.
Yeah.
What are some of the hot topics that your clients go to you? I know you do one-on-ones. I know you do group. I know you do a lot of things like that. You talk to a lot of groups. What are some of the trends or the questions that you are getting over and over and over about?
Yeah. I was actually trying to think about this to record on my own podcast, like frequently asked questions. I would say a lot of people have questions about HRT. I think that's a really big topic right now. I think
And HRT stands for those that don't.
Yeah.
Hormone replacement therapy. Okay. That seems like a scary
it does.
A scary subject right there.
It does for a lot of people. We had a research study come out several decades ago that showed that estrogen caused an increase in breast cancer. And so everyone stopped with that. That was enough. We just all quit on dealing with that. And over the last few years to decade, there's been a lot more research into it that shows that it actually does not, necessarily have to do that, increase your risk. And estrogen actually helps protect things like your brain health, so dementia, things like that, heart health, bone health, metabolic health, insulin, those types of things. And so it is really, really helpful for women. And so one of the advancements is they're coming up with a type of estrogen hormone replacement therapy that just goes to your brain so that we can help prevent things like dementia and Alzheimer's, but it does not go systemically. So it will definitely not increase your risk of any sort of cancer there. So super cool. Not there quite yet, but will be. And yeah, a lot of women it's a very nuanced topic. A lot of people are very pro, a lot of people are very anti. I am in the middle. I am much more of a, let's follow what the research says. Let's look at your own genetics. I, for myself, for example, have a factor clotting disorder. And so I'm not a good candidate for estrogen replacement therapy when that time comes for me. And some women like that have hysterectomies, for example, early, that lose their ovaries, they are a really great candidate for hormone replacement therapy and absolutely should do that. And then a lot of women are just kind of in between somewhere of like personal preference, looking at risk factors, looking at the risk benefit analysis of things. So it is hard because I think that, you go to like a hormone doctor, those hormone doctors are typically like HRT doctors. That's what they do. And so I've had some great success with patients and I've had some absolute horror stories with patients of feeling pregnant. Their breasts got really big, swollen and tender. They were bloated. They had migraines. They had morning sickness because they put way too much estrogen into their body.
Oh my gosh. Wow. It sounds horrible.
So it is, it's just a nuanced thing. And you just got to go with somebody that's going to monitor you, check your levels, make sure you're a good candidate. Like that goes a long way.
Yes. It is like a lot of what you're saying is our healthcare system, in my personal opinion, is like a one size fits all. And when it comes to sort of all of this hormonal stuff that we are all going through now, it isn't a one size fits all. So the more you know about hormone replacement therapy, about different things, supplements that you can take, it's just going to be helpful. And okay, so that's hormone replacement therapy. Okay. Yeah, that is a huge topic amongst my friends. And I have some that are going to take it, some that are going to do it, some that are not. And so like you're saying, it could be a good fit for some people and some people it couldn't,
Right. Absolutely.
Is there a supplement that, maybe starting into the perimenopause journey that like anybody could take? Like is there like a one size fits all in that? Like vitamin D maybe for bones or DIM? I don't know.
Supplement that I think for the most part is pretty beneficial for most people, with the exception of people who are on something like tamoxifen or something like previous breast cancer, ovarian cancer, like not for these people. But for the majority of us, something like a Feminescence is a company, make a maca root. Maca root is an adaptogenic herb that can help with managing your stress a little bit better for you, like basically increasing your resilience to stress hormones. And it also kind of helps. So in our head, in our brain, we have the brain to ovary axis, which means your brain talks to your ovaries and says, hey, produce this hormone at this time, do this thing. maca root helps to iron out that connection a little bit better and helps your brain talk to your ovaries better so that it's a little bit more balanced. So I have good luck. There's a that specific company. I like them a lot because they use different species of maca root. And so I like them. They have a perimenopausal formula.
Okay.
So Nicole, I do take that. So, you know,
Okay.
that's one of the things I take. I did after, you know, I felt like I was, you know, we've talked about my Paris incident on here before, but, you know, I just felt like I was almost out of my body, right? On that April trip. And I was looking at myself and just acting in a way that wasn't really myself. And what I immediately did is call Ali and was like, I need an appointment ASAP for this. And I was almost scared to tell her about it, right? But she's like, so are you a little ragey? And I'm like, wait, how do you know? Were you with me in Paris? Like, what's going on? And to normalize that is what I'm saying. You know, she put me on a couple of supplements, and literally, Nicole, I mean, because they're cumulative, right? I don't know how much time you need to be on them, but it changed my life. Like literally changed my life. I don't feel so up and down depending on the time of the month. I think I'm a huge fan of supplements, and I'm on that Feminescent and the Dim Detox. I take that every day. And those are two things that I think supplements I mean, Ali, like same thing. It's not a one size fits all, but supplements, we get asked all the time about supplements, which ones are good, which ones they should take, but it could be individual depending on your symptoms or your lifestyle or, you know, your stress level, you know, a lot of those things, right?
Yeah, it is very individual. I will say in my practice, like those two formulas are probably my most prescribed. And that's the thing about it. Like I look at people, I've experienced rage. Mine was postpartum. And I was like, wow, okay, this is what we're talking about in a textbook. Like this is rage. It's not irritability. It's not frustration. It's not just like feeling annoyed. It's like rage. And a lot of women have expressed that, you know, various times in their life too. And it is embarrassing. And like, you know, that you're acting irrational and you don't even want to be around yourself. You're like, what are you doing?
Yes. That happened to me after my first. And I remember yelling at my husband for just leaving something on the counter because I had just cleaned it. And it was like an out of body experience. And I don't know, maybe our first was like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And he's like, well, shouldn't you be like leveled out by now? Mind you, he's a physician. I'm like, no. I'm like, I've been carrying a baby and my hormones have been off for 9 months. Like, it just doesn't happen magically. So yes, I could have used some of your help 14 years ago.
No, it's a super common symptom, actually. And that's the thing, like to Alex's point, like heavy periods, PMS symptoms, mood stuff, low energy, sleep issues, like those are things that I deal with every single day. And I feel like it's not, from my perspective, not that complicated. Like there are some basic things like adding in those two supplements, you feel completely different now. Whereas, and again, no judgment or shame here, but like a doctor would have said SSRIs for you or we don't know, or birth control, and created just way more of a systemic effect instead of just supporting what was actually happening and getting your hormones into a better place, which, like I said, supports other things like your metabolic health, your brain, your bones, your heart. Like these hormones are not just for periods and to be annoying and fertility. They're just, they do a whole bunch of other things for us that are really helpful.
And we don't have to feel this way, right? Yeah. So tell us, Ali, where can we find you for our listeners that maybe want to reach out to you and talk to you some more? Where can they find you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram a lot. You can find me at Ali Damron over there. I have a lot of free resources. If you have questions, you can always feel free to DM me. I also have a Facebook group at Holistic Health with Ali Damron. Have a YouTube channel, a podcast, all Ali Damron across the board. I really try to get out a lot of free resources and information about these topics so women at least can have like a bit of like an aha, maybe this might be me type of a thing. And then I have a website at alidamron.com.
Okay. And you do take consultations and you have one-on-ones. Okay.
Yep. I have a group coaching program and I have one-on-ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's based in the Denver area, but you can do it virtually. Like I did it virtually, and I cannot say enough. It like changed my life. I have not had any sort of ragey situations, hallelujah, since then. But it really is. It makes a difference in what are some of the more like natural ways also in addition to supplements that our ladies could be doing with like their health and wellness on a consistent basis that you've seen makes a difference.
So what I do is I tell my patients that when we're talking about hormones, I like to think about it as like a pyramid. The very bottom of the pyramid, the foundation of our health and hormones is insulin, which is our blood sugar, adrenaline, which is that fight or flight response, and cortisol, which is our stress hormone and part of our sleep wake cycle. So when those three things, and they can also act as like this vicious cycle, when those three things are in a better place, your body detoxes better, has less inflammation, digests better, assimilates nutrients better, produces progesterone better, DHEA, testosterone, neurotransmitters, all the things that make us feel good. So if we're constantly running around in fight or flight with our head chopped off, your brain's going to say, oh my gosh, we need help coping. Let's produce a whole bunch more adrenaline. And when you're in that state, your body just can't do the things that it needs to do, especially over time. Blood sugar, so protein, fiber, both of those things are imperative. Micronutrients, so getting in, your various colors of fruits and vegetables, antioxidants, vitamin C, cruciferous vegetables will help you detox better. We talk about these things in like these little like hormones and like these complex things, and zoom out, like the things still work. Yeah. Sleep, move, exercise, strength train, eat good food, eat, good quality nutrients, things like that as much as you can. Stress management stuff, which I think of as more like thought management instead of leisure walks and, meditation. When people are really stressed, they can't even meditate anyways. But so I think about it.
Or just in general in life.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just gain control over what we're thinking. And I think those things are like, that's kind of like my 5 pillars to hormone health. It makes like a world of difference.
So it's more of a holistic health approach, right? Like maybe taking, looking at what you're eating. I find that lately I need more sleep than normal, right? Because it's like my goal, one of my wellness goals of 2024 is at least get 7 hours of sleep, right? Because I think that is just so important as we get older, and also managing our stress. Our stress is, we talk about this, you talked about that invisible load as a mom, as a woman. But it's changing right now in this midlife era, right? I find it's more, and I think Nicole too, it's more like this emotional stress that we're dealing with our kids. It's not this physical stress of changing a diaper, this or that. Yeah. It's more, we're dealing like, I love this like second puberty thing. Like we are like together on this, but we're also trying to manage our kids' emotions at the same time when they don't even know what they're thinking or doing half the time too. So it's a, I think we shouldn't dismiss the fact and give ourselves grace as women and moms that this is a hard time, right? And, just acknowledge that and acknowledge that it's okay to acknowledge that, right? Like we are in just a really, really hard time, I think, physically and mentally. And to acknowledge that, I think it lightens the load a little bit, knowing that I have a community or friends to talk to and just be really real about what I'm feeling with my kids or my, myself or my husband or.
Right. Because you're not alone. Yeah.
Guys don't understand this, right? Like I tell my kids and my husband, I'm like, mommy has a lot of stuff going on in her body, but now I'm using the second puberty thing.
Mommy's in puberty too.
Mommy's in puberty too. They're going to look at me like, what? So health and wellness, holistic health, right? Our doctors don't do that as well. Like traditional doctors, I'm saying, I'm not a doctor, but they're not trained in that. So that's why it's so great to reach out to someone like you and,
and you can see both. You can definitely see both. Yep. Yeah. 100%. So don't think it's like all or nothing. Yeah.
No, I hate that. I think there's this big war between like alternative and Western or allopathic. And I work with so many physicians. I respect the heck out of what they do. I think it's better for patient outcomes if both people are on board. I am much an advocate for that.
Yes.
Like have a little team, like Nicole's husband's a doctor too. We love him. We love Jerry.
We love Jerry, but Jerry's a big advocate for holistic health, as long as you're,
being safe.
Mixing the two and being safe. Yes. Like he has nothing against it.
Science-based.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yes, we
Aw.
appreciate you. Thank you,
We
Ali.
could talk about this. We need
I
like a
know.
part 2, part 3. Like everyone likes
I
to
know.
talk about this stuff, but so we love to do
Yes.
this. What is everyone's unsolicited advice
In terms of hormones?
in terms of anything? You can
Midlife.
say anything. Midlife. Just in your life.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, do you want Alix and I to go first?
Yeah.
Do you want us to give you
Okay.
examples? Okay.
There's a lot.
Okay. My unsolicited advice is if you're not feeling well, ask for help. Just know that it's not normal to feel fatigued all day long. And that's because that second cup of coffee isn't giving you that boost that it once did. There could be a bigger issue that you need to look into, and it's okay. And you will feel better, and you are not alone.
Okay. Mine's similar. Mine is don't be afraid to be proactive about your health and be your biggest advocate, right? There are doctors, there are holistic medicine, there's a lot of people out there to help you, but you have to be your biggest advocate and follow Ali because she's got so good information and she changed my life for the better and she will change yours no matter what you're going through. So that's my advice.
Thank you. I would say mine is along those lines too. And I think it's more of what you're experiencing, other women have experienced before. So if you're feeling a certain way about your children or your partner or your parents or like someone else has had those thoughts, they're probably normal. I think we feel a lot of shame around our authentic experience. And I think that there shouldn't be that. A lot of things can coexist and it's all normal.
Yeah, that everything's normal and that we can fix it over time.
Yeah.
Ali, you were just the best. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you and we just adore you on all the levels. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Follow Ali on Instagram. Check out her website. Check out her podcast as well. She is all over there and check her out.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it so much.
Okay.
Bye.